Arab and Muslim foreign ministers, meanwhile, kicking off 2 days of talks about the Israel-Hamas war in China today. The delegation includes foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, and the head of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. China's foreign minister is calling for urgent action, claiming Beijing supports the, quote, just cause of the Palestinian people. Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War, Gordon Chang, back with me this morning. Gordon, great to get your take on this. And what I've been talking about over the last couple of days is this soft war that China is putting forth, which is a war of propaganda. They're using TikTok, they're using surveillance and all of their state-run media to push what they believe the world is changing and moving toward. Your thoughts?
Well, that certainly is right, because on TikTok, for instance, last year they were pushing Russian disinformation about the Ukraine war. This year it has been Hamas. And there's also been a lot of pro-drug use TikTok videos, some having millions of views, even though they are supposedly prohibited by the community standards. You know, China is very much behind Iran, and Iran is very much behind the attack on Israel. Chinese weapons are in the hands of Hamas. They're also in the hands of the Houthi militia. Beijing is very much supporting this, especially with increased oil purchases from Iran. They're about 60% above the level in 2017, which is the last year before the Trump administration imposed sanctions.
Yeah. Gordon, you know what we're going to do is we're going to hang up and we're going to call you back because you've got a lot of static there. But I want to get Liz Peek in on here while we talk about this, because Liz, you're right. Gordon just said it. It's not just what they're doing here between the Israel and Hamas war. They also did this on the Ukraine story. And they also did this on the Russia collusion lie that went viral. China is following our internal debates, and they are piling on to create disruption in America.
Yeah, and you know, to have President Xi come to America and pretend that everything, as the president talked about, is kumbaya, and really he has a very warm feeling towards America. Even the New York Times wrote a pretty scathing piece about how that was a complete 180 turn from what President Xi has been telling his own people for the last several years. Americans have no idea how hostile Xi is towards America and how full court press he has the Chinese propaganda machine ready to absolutely undermine everything about the United States. He does not consider us partners. He considers us competitors in every sense of the word. And nothing suits him better than the United States being distracted right now and impoverished to some degree by a war in Ukraine, war in the Middle East, when they are basically, as Gordon said, funding both of those wars by buying almost all the exports of oil from Iran and also from Russia. It is really pretty unconscionable, but that is a tremendous win for China.
Yeah, and I love the fact that during the meeting, Doug, during the meeting, Xi Jinping comes out with a statement, says the U.S. should not interfere in China's business. China never interferes in the U.S.'s business. That's an absolute mistruth right there, because they are involved in our internal debates morning, noon, and night through their social media.
Oh, they are. I mean, look, if we continue to buy the lie that China is not interested in, in taking over especially the economic side, the currency side of this is where we're missing it. And I think we're focused a lot of time on the military, which we need to be focused on, and that is something that you got to look at. But it's these other issues. It's popping up of the economy in Iran. It's popping up of buying oil from Russia. It's also the going into Africa and in the southern African countries and building bridges, building ports, the activity there, giving, Bagram is now basically in Afghanistan is under Chinese control. These are things that are all out there, and then putting contracts in which the dollar is being taken away is the standard across the world. These are the things that really need to be focused on in China, and yet the American media and all focuses on this fact and promotes this out of the China's idea that they don't want to be in part of us.
Yeah, let me bring Gordon Chang back into the conversation. Gordon, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Taiwan is reporting renewed Chinese military activity, Gordon. This is around the island. After the APEC summit and President Biden's meeting with Xi Jinping last week, Taiwan's Ministry of Defense says 21 Chinese jets and 7 warships came near Taiwan today. Xi reportedly telling Biden during the meeting that Taiwan is the biggest, most dangerous issue in U.S.-China relations, Gordon. And don't forget what he said next. He said, reunification cannot be stopped, Gordon.
Yes, though I think that at this moment, and Xi Jinping also said he's not going to invade. At this moment, I don't think the risk of war over Taiwan is actually that high because, remember, they've got their national elections on January 13th. The pro-China candidates seem to be doing pretty well. And at this moment, I think that what we're seeing in these military maneuvers are meant to intimidate Taiwan voters to vote for the pro-China candidates. But at the same time, we've got real problems in the Philippines, at Second Thomas Shoal, where China's engaging in what constitute acts of war. And that could actually get out of hand, as President Biden and the State Department have actually issued written and oral warnings that the United States is prepared to use force against China to discharge our military obligations to the Philippines. So war could come at any place. It could be Taiwan, but probably someplace else. This is an exceedingly dangerous situation overall, whether it's Taiwan, Philippines, Japan, India, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. This could not be more dangerous, Gordon. I spoke with Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton about Biden's meeting with Xi. He joined me on Sunday Morning Futures yesterday. Here's his take. Watch.
There's a lot we still don't know about the summit. You outlined some of the initial obvious problems is that we gave concrete concessions to China, like lifting sanctions against entities and persons involved in genocide against religious and ethnic minorities in China. China only gave us promises. For instance, the promise to stop shipping precursor chemicals for deadly fentanyl to Mexico. I'm also worried about just the overall demeanor and attitude that Joe Biden had at that summit. It's one thing to meet with our communist adversaries. It's another thing for Joe Biden to say that it was an honor and a pleasure to welcome a communist dictator like Xi Jinping to America.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, Gordon. I mean, he steered way clear of anything confrontational, despite China's aggression. What are your thoughts on that meeting?
Well, certainly, just going back to our first question, I think the risk of war is high because President Xi Jinping, the General Secretary of the Communist Party, perceives weakness on the part of the Biden administration. And yes, it was. We gave them something important, the lifting of sanctions on the Institute of Forensic Research of the Ministry of Public Security. And all we got were promises on fentanyl, the same promises that Xi Jinping and his predecessors gave to the Obama administration and to the Trump administration. And then you had this really hideous spectacle of John Kirby, the NSC spokesperson, saying that Xi Jinping doesn't want any one more American to die from fentanyl, when we know that Xi Jinping has been behind the fentanyl gangs and producers. And he has been responsible for killing Americans to the tune of about 70,000 last year with illicit doses of fentanyl.
Yeah. Finally, some relief on all of these Chinese stocks. Somebody pulls the capital markets lever. What are your thoughts on Chinese and Hong Kong companies coming out of the thrift fund, the TSP fund, the I fund, that even with that, though, hundreds of other companies are still in the TSP's mutual fund window? Gordon, it's incredible to me that we still have these companies that are tied to the Chinese military in all of our indexes. I don't know if you think that would be an aggressive move to pull the capital markets lever. It doesn't look like Joe Biden is ready to do that.
No, I mean, the move by the TSP board on some of the Chinese stocks was a good first step. But there's, as you point out, there's so much more that needs to be done. And we need to get China out of the MSCI index as well. It is just wrong for us to be supporting the Chinese military with our investment funds, because that military is configuring to kill Americans.
Yeah,
so this is just wrong from a strategic and moral point of view.
Gordon, it's great to get your take as always. Thank you, sir.